to all the fans of the greatest show on earth, which is the Vampire Diaries. Today we will be talking about episode number 15, which is called A Few Good Men. And before we begin, I just want to talk about a little bit about last week's episode. I know that the audio quality wasn't the greatest. My microphone was acting up and it's disconnected or something happened during recording. So actually my computer was then recording the sound, so that's why it wasn't the greatest. And today I have to admit I had a rough day with the podcast and the microphone died completely, but it didn't disconnect, so it was still kind of recording, but not really. The audio was not usable at all. I did both of these episodes. I was really happy with them, after a couple of episodes where I was really struggling and I was tired and this and that. I was like, oh, this is so good. I speak very clearly and I don't make a lot of mistakes, so I was very pleased with it. But then I found out that it is totally unusable, and so this is my second time recording this episode today, so bear with me. So let's dive into today's episode. After the recap, we find ourselves in the woods where we see some guy hiking. He hears some rustling in the woods, so he turns around and he sees Harper. Harper is the vampire from the tomb that, unfortunately for this guy, is still hungry. Harper is asking this man what day it is, and he says that it is Saturday, and then he says what year, and the guy tells him that it is 2010. Harper is totally shocked by this information. The guy is asking him what is he wearing and how did he get there, because Harper is looking very rough. He's wearing his clothes from 1864 and he's all covered in dust and he just does not look good. Then Harper tells him, "You seem like a very nice person. I'm sorry." And the guy's like, "Sorry for what?" But in that moment, Harper puts his vampire teeth out and he unfortunately kills this man. And when he grabs this guy, we can see that Harper is wearing a silver ring with a blue lapis lazuli stone, which I think is an indicator for us that this is Harper's daylight ring. And to me, that was a really nice touch that they thought about that to show us how Harper is walking out in the sun. And I also want to mention that Harper is such a beautiful name. I really like it. With this, we are done with the first and N3 scene of this episode, and then we see on the screen the Vampire Diaries. After that, we see Harper in the woods who took clothes from the guy he just killed, and then something is ringing in the pockets. So Harper starts going through all the pockets, and then he pulls out a cell phone. But of course he doesn't know what that is, so he grabs it and he holds it with his 2 fingers and he throws it away, and then he's walking out of the woods. In the next scene, we are in Elena's house. Elena is sitting on the porch on the swing, which, by the way, is the swing that I also sat on when I visited Covington last year, and I also have a picture in that swing. So when I was watching this scene for the podcast, I had this huge smile on my face when I realized that I actually did go there, and it just felt so amazing that I made that dream come true for myself, because I have been dreaming about it for years, to go to the Vampire Diaries town. So Elena is sitting in the swing and she is leaving a voicemail for Bonnie. She's asking her how Bonnie is and that she misses her, and then she also said that she hopes her aunt is not driving her crazy, which I think is an information for the viewers mainly, so that we know why Bonnie is not going to be in this episode and where she is and what's happening with her. After that, Aunt Jenna is coming and she's asking Elena what is she doing out there, that it's kind of cold, and Elena says that she is thinking and writing, and that Bonnie's grandma's funeral brought a lot of stuff about her mom and dad passing away. And then Elena is asking Jenna if she found out anything more about Elena's birth parents, and Jenna tells her let's go talk inside. And then she tells her that her dad kept everything from his medical practice, and she found an entry from a night when Elena was born, patient and birth date, and it was Isobel Peterson. Elena asks her if she thinks that's her real name, and Jenna says, "Pregnant teenage runaway? Probably not. First name maybe, but Where did you get Peterson? Classmate? Best friend? So I binged it. I searched for all the Petersons in this area born the same year as Isobel, found 3, 2 men and a woman, Trudy, who lived in Grove Hill, Virginia. Elena says, that's not far from here. Then Jenna shows Elena a photo of Isobel and Trudy on the computer from high school, from when they were in high school, and they are wearing a cheerleader uniform. So Elena says, oh, Isobel, she's a cheerleader, and she smiles. And Jenna says, Trudy still lives there. This is her address, and she gives Elena like a sticky note. Elena says, what about Isobel? And Jenna tells her that she couldn't find anything else, but that Mr. Saltzman's wife, her name was also Isobel, and she was also from around here. And then Elena says, wait, was as in, and Jenna says, yeah, she died. And in this scene, what I found funny is that Jenna says, I binged it instead of I Googled it. It was such a weird expression to hear, and maybe Bing paid like a little ad into the Vampire Diaries show, because I've never ever heard anyone say I binged it. Like everybody says I Googled it, even in 2010, you know? So that was a little bit funny to me. Later on, Elena is talking to Stefan. They are in Elena's room and they are talking about this newly gained information. Stefan is really surprised that Rick's wife could have been Elena's birth mother, but Elena tells him that it cannot be true because it would be such a coincidence. Then Elena tells him that she has Trudy's address and that Trudy was Isobel's friend. Stefan is asking her if she's gonna go see her and talk to her, and Elena says she doesn't know because she doesn't know if she can like take it right now, because if it is the same Isobel, then it means that she's dead. Stefan is asking her if Jenna told her anything about Rick's wife and how she died, and Elena says no, she only told me that somebody killed her and they never solved what happened, or they never solved the case. Stefan is nodding that he knows, and Elena is asking him how did he know, and Stefan tells her that night when Rick attacked him at school, he told him some of the stuff about Isobel's death. And then Stefan's like, no, it would be too much of a coincidence, it's not gonna be this way. And then Stefan also tells her that if she does decide to go see Trudy, he's gonna come with her. Then he says he has to go because he has to deal with Damon. Elena is asking how Damon is, and Stefan says that he is dealing in his own way. And let's look how Damon is dealing in his own way. We are in Damon's house, and he is feeding on a young half-naked girl. And there's also other half-naked girls around them. Stefan is coming in, and Damon sighs, and he says, Buskill Bob. Stefan asks him if they can talk, and Damon says, yeah. Then Stefan says, without the tridents, and Damon, anything you have to say to me, you can say in front of them. They're really good at keeping secrets. Then Stefan and Damon kind of step on aside to talk. And Damon is telling Stefan, you're worried about me. That's nice. Don't be. There's no need. I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be? I spent the last 145 years with one goal. Get in that tomb. I succeeded. Granted, Catherine wasn't in there to be rescued, but wide well. It's so liberating not having a master plan, because I can do whatever the hell I want. Stefan tells him that's kind of what I'm afraid of, which I love. This line is very funny. Damon says, relax, I haven't killed anyone in too long. And those girls will end up in their dorm with headaches, think they blacked out. Business as usual. Predictable, you didn't pull me over here for a pep talk, so spill it, brother. Then Damon asks him again, what did you really want to talk about? And Stefan says, there was a woman you may have known a few years back named Isobel in North Carolina at Duke. You want to discuss the woman in my past right now? Seriously? Which Damon is hinting that Catherine is also a woman in his past and he's just not stable to do that right now. Stefan then says, you killed her. And Damon's like, what's your point? I just want to know if you remember anything about her. It's like a needle in a haystack, Stefan. Well, think hard. It's important. Nothing is important. Not anymore. Great chat. I have to go and exploit some women in the name of grief, which I'm sure you understand. which is hilarious. I love Damon. In the next scene, we are in Matt's house where him and Caroline are watching TV. Caroline is bored and Matt is asking her like, what's up? And Caroline says they have this entire house to themselves and they should use it differently than just to watch TV. Matt understands and they start kissing and making out. And in that moment, Matt's mom, Kelly Donovan, walks in and she's like, oh God, not on my couch. And Matt's mom is no other than the infamous Julie Cooper from my other favorite show, OC California. In the next scene, we are in front of Grill where Jenna and Rick are putting up a poster. Jenna is struggling putting it up, so Rick walks over to her to help her put it up and then he kisses her. Jenna says that she's gonna totally ruin the mood, and which she does, and she asks him if Isobel, his wife, had a baby before they got together, before Rick and Isobel got together, because Elena's birth mom is also called Isobel. Rick says that definitely not, and then Jenna shows him a picture of Elena's birth mother on her phone, and Rick can tell that it is his wife Isobel, right? He recognizes her. And then he is really shocked by this information, and then he tells Jenna that Isobel never told him and that he has to go. After that, Elena is ringing the doorbell at Trudy's house, but it's kind of taking a while for Trudy to open the door, so Elena turns around. She's kind of like nodding her head like, oh, this was a stupid idea, I'm just gonna go home. But when she turns around to go away, Trudy opens the door. Elena says that, Elena tells her name, I'm Elena Gilbert, I want to talk to you about Isobel Fleming. And Trudy says that she haven't heard that name in years, and how do you know her? Elena says, well, I think that, and then she says, do you know if she had a baby that she gave up for adoption? And Trudy says, oh my God, you're her daughter. I was just gonna make some tea. Would you like some? Sure. And then Trudy says, the kitchen is that way. She doesn't say, come in. So suspicious of Trudy, right? After that, Trudy and Elena sit down at a table, and Trudy is telling Elena about Isobel. She says that she hasn't heard from her for years, that they used to be in touch after high school for a little bit, but not anymore. Then she tells her that Isobel used to live in Florida for some times, and Elena is asking if Trudy knows who her father is. But Trudy says she could never get Isobel to fess up. Trudy is all like nervous and weird. And then Trudy tells Elena that Isobel went to college to Duke. And Duke University, we talk about quite a lot in this episode. So Duke University is a university in Durham, North Carolina, that was founded in 1823. And they focus on research and also sports. And it's very often referred to as Harvard of the South. It is not one of the Ivy League schools, but it is very comparable to an Ivy League school. After that, Trudy gets up and goes to the kitchen to prepare the tea, and we see her in the kitchen that she's typing a text message where she writes, she is here. In Matt's house, Matt is preparing breakfast and he's talking to his mom, Kelly. He's asking her where she was the last couple of months, and she says like, oh, here and there. And then Kelly changes the subject and she is asking Matt, so blonde is the new flavor of the month, huh? So sorry I scared her off. She's not a flavor, Mom. I like her. So she's the one? No, probably not, but maybe. And then Kelly takes a bottle of vodka, which, I mean, Matt is making breakfast, so what is it, like 8, 9 in the morning, and Kelly is already drinking? Like, that's insane. Matt is then asking Kelly if she heard from Vicky, but she says no. But she also tells him not to be like scared or anything, that Vicky is gonna come back and that she's the same as her, basically. Then Matt is asking her, what are you doing home? And she's like, are you trying to tell me that I need a reason to come back? And then Kelly tells him to sit down at the table with her and to catch her up on everything that has been happening since she was gone. In the next scene, we are in the town square where Rick and Stefan meet. Rick thanks him for meeting him, and Stefan realizes that Jenna told Alaric about Isobel maybe being the same person, like, Rick's wife and Elena's mom. And Rick is then asking Stefan what does Elena know, and Stefan tells him that Elena knows about vampires, and she doesn't know about Isobel yet, that he didn't want to tell her until he was sure. Rick says that Stefan promised him to find out what happened to Isobel. Stefan says that he did ask Damon, but he doesn't remember anything. And Rick is like, you gotta ask him again. And then Stefan kind of barks back at him. He's like, he's not really stable right now. And then Rick has a very funny remark when he's like, is Damon ever stable? And then Stefan tells him to kind of back off if he wants to stay alive, because he knows that Damon is insane and more insane right now. And then Stefan says that he needs something more than just Isobel's name. So Rick pulls out Isobel's photo and he gives it to Stefan. Then we find ourselves in a flashback where we see Rick in bed and Isobel working at the computer at the desk. Rick is asking her to come to bed, but she says that she likes to work at night. Rick is then asking her what she's working on, and she tells him, I was doing research and I dug up all this stuff about this small town in Virginia near where I grew up. It's isolated, out of the way, and quiet. And every now and then, people die mysteriously. And they say that it's animal attacks, except these bodies are drained of blood. It's vampires. It has to be. And Rick says, okay, I'll get my garlic and holy water, and then maybe... And she tells him no, it's not like that. And then Rick adds, look, this is why I love you, because you believe in all this stuff, so much so that you're making a degree out of it. You're like Mulder, except hotter and a girl. And I had to Google this reference because I didn't really get it. But Fox Mulder is a character from a TV show, The X-Files, and he is played by David Duchovny. And David Duchovny was also in Californication, maybe you know. I love that show. Then Isobel says, this is not a joke, Rick. You think that this is cute, but I'm gonna prove it. And Mulder was right in the end. And I have to admit that I never really liked Isobel, her character or anything about her. I didn't like how she looked, how she carried herself, how the actress played her, because I think that she was pretending too much to be this cool person. I don't know, I never believed her that, and I never really liked her character, to be honest. In the next scene, we are back at Trudy's house, and Trudy is showing Elena some photos from high school. Elena is thanking her for showing that to her, that it is amazing to see. Then Trudy remarks that Elena did not try her tea yet. So Elena drinks a little bit, and then she sniffs the cup, and she's asking her, is that a vervain? And then she adds, you know. And Trudy is like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Elena is like, you didn't invite me in and you're serving vervain tea, you know. And then Trudy is like, I think you should leave. And Elena is like, what are you keeping from me? And Trudy kind of yells at her you need to leave now. And so Elena packs her stuff very quickly and she leaves. When she's going towards her car, there is just a random guy standing in the middle of the road staring at her, which is super creepy. Elena sees it, so she gets in the car very quickly and drives away. In the next scene, we are at Grill, where Rick is sitting at the bar and he's drinking bourbon. Damon comes over, he sits next to Rick, and he also orders bourbon. And then Damon says, behold the teacher. Don't you have some papers to grade? Ugh, it's more fun with the bus. Well, most things in life are. Sober is depressing. You don't strike me as somebody who gets depressed. You say that like you know me. Nope, just a hunch. Then they look at each other very intensely. Then Rick is finishing his drink and he says, you have a good afternoon. And Damon reply kills me. He says, not likely. I think I'm going to start to say that to my customers now when they're like, have a good day. And I will be like, not likely. I love that. When Rick leaves, Sheriff Forbes comes over to Damon and she says, daytime drinking, huh? And Damon's like, it's all the rage. Then Sheriff asks him for a favor and Damon totally disregards this and he tells her, you ever been in love? And she's like, excuse me? Have you ever been so bent on someone just to have your heart ripped out by them? You forget that I was married. Right, gay husband. Then he waves at the bartender and he says, she'll have what I'm having. Like, meaning like, oh, gay husband, that's tough. Let's have a bourbon. Then Sheriff tells him what she needs, and she says there's a fundraiser and that the funder council is throwing, and the town's most eligible bachelors are getting raffled off for dates, and they are short of bachelor. And Damon's like, is this what you do when there is no vampires? Organize bachelor raffles? Oh, trust me, at this point I miss the vampires. Look, you're a hero to this town, Damon. I know most people don't know it, but you are. And you're single and a catch. Come on, help me out. Get all Lockwood won't let me live it down if I come up empty-handed. And then Damon says, a room full of women clamoring to win a date with me? Sounds tasty. Sheriff seems relieved and she thanks him. Then Damon says, can you get information on someone for me? Alaric Saltzman, the history teacher. There's just something a little off about him, and I just want to make sure that the high school did their homework on this guy. She says that she's going to do that for him, and he thanks her. Damon is continuing to drink. And in this scene, I love that the story, or shall I say the bromance between Rick and Damon is starting, and it is one of my very favorite stories on the Vampire Diaries. And I just love when Liz is like, I need a favor, and he's like, have you ever been in love? Like totally just like in his own world and just super random. And I just love Damon, and he has like the best lines. In the next scene, we are back at the Trudy's house. Somebody is ringing the doorbell, and she's opening the door, and there is a guy who was standing in the middle of the road when Elena was leaving. He tells Trudy, thank you for the message. So now we know who Trudy was texting. Trudy says he is welcome, and she didn't say anything to Elena, but Elena knows something anyways. The guy says that's not going to be a problem, and she's not going to get any closer to the truth. Trudy is then asking the guy if her role in the story is done now, and he says yes. She seems relieved and she starts to close the door. But before she gets to close the door all the way, the guy gets inside. She starts screaming at him like, oh, I didn't invite you in, but he's like, I'm not a vampire. Then she starts running up the stairs, but the guy is right behind her, and he grabs her foot, and then he throws her down the stairs, and Trudy falls down and she dies. The next scene, we see Harper in the town square, and he's kind of trying to get it all in, all the cars, the sounds, and all this new world around him. And then he sees a woman sitting on a bench in the town square, and they nod at each other, so you understand that they know each other. Then Elena is walking into Stefan's room, and she's calling him Stefan. And then Damon comes out, and he's not wearing any shirt, which is super hot. And he says, better, me. You look, dashing, gorgeous, irresistible, wrecked. You look wrecked. No reason why. Do you know that I am one of the Mystic Falls' most eligible bachelors? Huh. Yup. Elena then asks him how you doing, and he says, never better. Then Damon puts on a shirt, and he's asking her, what can I do for you? I am a barrel of favors today. It's my newfound purpose. How can I help people? And Elena's like, well, I'm just meeting Stefan. We're going to the fundraiser. And then Damon is pretending to be super drunk and not able to button his shirt. So he is asking her if she can help him out. So Elena sighs but walks over to him and starts buttoning his shirt. Then she also tells him that she found out who her birth mother is. But Damon scoffs. He's like, ugh. Who cares? She left you. She sucks. Elena is a little bit like annoyed by this or maybe hurt by this, and in that instance, Stefan is walking in. Elena kind of jumps away from Damon a little, and I think she's not very happy that Stefan found them like so close to each other like that. And then she's like, "Oh, Stefan, there you are." Then Damon is looking straight at Elena and walking by her, and he is like buttoning the shirt perfectly, like he has no trouble buttoning it, and she sees that, and he just has a face like, "Yeah, I got you," and then Elena's like, her face's expression is like unbelievable, and she says to Stefan, "He's fine," and Stefan's like, "He's Damon. Maybe this heartache will be good for him. It will remind him that he has one, even if it doesn't beat." And Stefan says, "Won't hold my breath." Elena then tells Stefan that she went to see Trudy and that Trudy had a vein and she knew about vampires and that it cannot be a coincidence. Stefan says it is not a coincidence, and he shows her a photo of Rick's wife, and Elena's like, "Yeah, that's Isobel." Stefan then tells her that he got that from Rick, and Rick knows everything he knows about vampires, or Rick learned everything he knows about vampires from Isobel, and that Rick thinks that Isobel was killed by a vampire. But then Stefan tells Elena not to talk to Rick yet about Isobel. Then we are in the grill at the fundraiser, and Carol Lockwood is the moderator. Jenna and Alaric are talking, and Rick is apologizing to her that he disappeared before, that it was just too much for him in that moment, and Jenna says it's totally cool. And she also looks super cute in this scene. Next scene, we are back at the Salvatore mansion, and Damon is asking Stefan, "Where did our girlfriend go? Not your girlfriend, but our girlfriend," which I love. And Stefan says, "She's on her way to the grill. I want to talk to you." And I love how Stefan doesn't even fight him, because Damon says, "Where is our girlfriend?" And Stefan just doesn't even acknowledge it. And he's like, "She's on her way to the grill. I want to talk to you." And then Stefan shows a photo of Isobel to Damon. And he says, "This is the woman, Isobel, from North Carolina. Remember her now?" "Who wants to know?" "I do." "Who else wants to know?" "Did you kill her?" "Sorry, don't know her." Then Damon is walking by Stefan and he says, "Hey, are you coming? The Real Housewife of Mystic Falls await." In the grill, Elena is talking to Caroline and Matt. Caroline is telling her that all like the older ladies are flirting with Matt and they're laughing at it. And then Matt's mom, Kelly, is coming. Caroline says hi to her, but Kelly looks totally disgusted. And she turns around and hugs Elena and is super sweet to Elena. And then Kelly tells Elena, "Matty says you broke his heart. He found his rebound girl." And when she says that, she looks at Caroline. And Elena, Matt, and Caroline, all of them have like a face expression that they're like, "Did she really just say that?" Like they are embarrassed for her that Kelly has no filter and says shit like that. Then Kelly is buying tickets from Caroline for the raffle. And Elena and Rick exchange looks, but Rick like disappears again because he's not ready to talk to Elena about Isobel, I guess. And in another part of the grill, Damon is flirting with Carol Lockwood. He tells her, "I've got a big day planned. It's romantic dinner, secluded spot, somewhere with sea." And Carol is like, "You're making me think I should buy a ticket." "Well, you are in charge. You could always just rig it." Then Damon sees that Sheriff Forbes is coming in, and so he leaves Carol and goes talk to Liz about Rick. Liz says that Rick seems okay, he only has some kind of like speeding tickets, and that also his wife disappeared a couple years ago in North Carolina, which Damon connects immediately, flips through the file until he sees a photo of Isobel, and then he immediately looks at Rick, and now he knows like what is happening. After that, Stefan is walking into the grill. Carol is on stage and she's introducing the bachelors. First, she's talking or she introduces like the bachelors, and then she gets to Rick, and she says he's a teacher and this and that, and she introduces Damon after that. She is asking Damon if he likes to travel, which is a water for Damon's mill, because he can beautifully connect that with, oh yeah, LA, New York. A couple of years ago, I was in North Carolina, near the Duke campus actually. I think Alaric went to school there, didn't you, Rick? And then they look at each other, Damon and Rick, and then Damon says, "Yeah, 'cause I know your wife did." In that instance, Stefan looks over at Elena across the room, and she's like white in her face. And Damon continues, "I had a drink with her once. She was a great girl. I ever told you that? 'Cause she was delicious." Elena, literally, like Elena's jaw drops and she has rage in her eyes, and Jenna is like, "Are you okay?" And Elena says she needs to go out and get some air. So she does. She walks outside and Stefan is right behind her. Then Elena is asking Stefan if Damon is the one who killed her mom. Stefan says he doesn't know for sure. He doesn't know what happened, but that Rick said that they never found her body. Elena is completely like just confused by this, and Stefan says he is sorry. He wanted to tell her, but he first wanted to find out more about it. Elena tells him, "I was feeling sorry for him, hoping that this whole Catherine thing would change him. I'm so stupid. He doesn't know about the connection to you. I thought about confronting him, but he's already on edge. Why are you protecting him? Because you're not the only one hoping that he might actually change." Then Elena sees the man who was standing in front of Trudy's house in the road, and she says that to Stefan. So Stefan tells her, "Come on," and they both go back inside of the grill. Inside of the grill, Carol is raffling the bachelors. Kelly is winning a date with a plumber. Caroline tells her, "Congratulations, Mrs. Donovan." And Kelly freaks out. And she's like, "Okay, just stop. Stop trying so hard. This thing you're doing, this nice thing, it's fake. Like you, like your mom. And for some reason, Matt fell for it. But that doesn't mean that I will. I don't like you, okay? So tell Plumber Boy I'll be at the bar." And Caroline just looks super sad, which I would be too. I mean, that's nasty. Then Elena is walking back inside of the grill and she bumps into Damon. Damon is making a joke and he says, "Easy there, buy a ticket like everybody else." And Elena's like, "Did you enjoy that? Rubbing it into Alaric Saltzman?" Damon is confused and he's like, "What?" And Elena's like, "Just as I was starting to think that there was something redeemable about you." And Stefan comes over and then Damon is like very confusedly looking from one to another, and he says, "Am I missing something here? Did I forget to mention earlier when we were talking about my birth mother, the one that gave me up? Her name was Isobel." And Damon looks shocked. And then Elena continues, "Go ahead, reminisce about how you killed her." So Elena walks off. Stefan looks in like a judgy way at Damon. And Elena goes back outside, followed by Stefan again. And again, there is the guy who was in front of Trudy's house. And he's in front of the grill. Stefan stands in front of Elena to protect her. And then the guy says, "I have a message for you." "What?" "Stop looking." "Stop looking for what?" "She doesn't want to know you. She doesn't want to talk to you." "Isobel? You need to stop looking. Do you understand? She's alive doesn't mean that she's a..." And then Stefan says, "Elena, he's under compulsion." The man says, "Do you understand?" And she's like, "Yes, I do." And the guy says, "Good, I'm done now." Then he looks and he makes one step back, and a truck that is passing by runs him over and the guy dies. There is a cell phone that falls out of his pocket, and Elena picks it up and puts it in her pocket. Then Stefan tells her, "Let's get out of here." Inside of the grill, Carol is still raffling off the bachelors, and I don't think anybody is surprised that Jenna is winning a date with Rick. Then Carol is raffling Damon, and surprise, surprise, she picks herself. just like Damon told her to. Damon is not there though, and Rick is telling Jenna that he's gonna call her, and then he leaves. And with that, we are diving into another one of Rick's flashbacks. Rick is talking to Isobel, and he's telling her that she has to let the vampire crap go. The research, the trips, that it's an obsession. She tells him it's important to her, and he's like, why? Why is it important? Explain it to me. Make me understand. What's the point? You don't want kids, you're barely ever home. I just want us to be normal people. And then Isobel tells him, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I want more. In the next scene, we see Matt, who is bringing his drunk mom, Kelly, home. And she says, like, oh, I wanted to stay. And he's like, no, I think you've had enough. Then Kelly tells him, you're the best. And she apologizes she was gone so long. Matt is asking her, why are you really home? And she admits that her boyfriend and her broke up and that it is her fault, like always. And Matt is like, no, it's not your fault. And then Kelly tells him, you are all I have left. Please don't leave me. And Matt says, I'm not going anywhere. And then he tucks her in and she smiles. Next scene, we are in Damon's house. He's pouring himself a drink, and Rick is coming in with a steak in his hand. And Damon's like, are you really this stupid? I guess so. Then Damon vamp speeds in front of Rick and pushes him down on the ground. And then he says, you gonna put down the steak? And he doesn't. So Damon's like, wow, that's courage. And then Alaric says, where's Isobel? What have you done to my wife? You want me to tell her I killed her? Would that make you happy? Because I think you know what happened. I saw you feeding on her. Yeah, I did. And I wasn't lying. She was delicious. And then Alaric snaps and he attacks Damon, but Damon pushes him down again. Oh, come on, what do you think happened? Not an inkling? Never considered the possibility? I turned her. Why? She came to me, all pathetic, looking for vampires. There was something about her, something I liked. There was something special. You turned her because you liked her? No. I slept with her because I liked her. I turned her because she begged me to. But you knew that too, didn't you? I guess she wasn't happy at home, wasn't happy with you, life in general. And then Rick attacks Damon again, and Damon stabs him with the stake in the chest. And Damon says, this is a shame. We are kindred spirits, abandoned by the women we love. Unrequited love sucks. And I really like the word kindred spirits. And then Damon sits down with his drink and he watches Rick die. And now in this scene is revealed to us that Damon slept with Elena's mom, which is a little bit gross to me. Ugh. So Damon is watching Rick die, and in this scene, Stefan walks in and he's like, what happened? What did you do? He's like, why? He attacked me. And then Damon says, all I did was tell him the truth. His wife didn't want him anymore. It's not my fault. He couldn't handle it. Then Stefan's like you've been handling Catherine? And Damon says, I am handling it fine. You know what? Isobel came to me. She found me. And if she's related to Lena, that means she's related to Catherine. Maybe Catherine sent her to me. Stop it. You don't have to keep looking. Can't be a coincidence. Isobel sought me out. Can't. And then Damon points to Alaric and tells to Damon, I'm assuming you will take care of this. And then he leaves. And Stefan, very tiredly, in a tired manner, sits next to Rick's body. But after a while, he sees that Rick's fingers start to move. And then all of a sudden, Rick is waking up. And he's asking Stefan, what's happened? What's going on? And Stefan's like, well, did Damon turn you? No, I went for him, but then he stabbed me. No, you must have vampire blood in your system. Somebody must have slipped it to you. No, it's something else. And Stefan's like, how? Rick looks at his hand, at his ring, and he says, Isobel. Then we dive into another flashback where Rick is sitting on bed and Isobel is giving him a gift. And it is that ring that Rick always wears. Then Rick is like, wow, that's a giant piece of jewelry. She tells him, yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Just tell people it's family heirloom. Alaric asks her where she got it, but she says if she told him, he would laugh at her. Then she says, promise me you'll always wear it. It will protect you from all the things that go bump in the night. And Rick is making fun and he says, a ring to ward off the demons, huh? Consider it a token of my love, my affection, and if nothing else, an apology for being so crazy. Well, you are definitely a crazy. I am selfish, I am obsessed, and I am a horrible wife, but you love me anyway. Yes, I do. Then we are back in the present. Rick looks at Stefan and says, this ring protected me. And Stefan's like, that's impossible. And Rick says, I know. And it's funny because when Rick says the ring protected me, Stefan is next to him and he's like in a squat or something. He's not sitting down. And then when Rick says this ring protected me, he like bumps down on his butt, like on the floor, like almost like it made him sit down because it was such like a big reveal. And it's a really funny scene to me. Back at Elena's house, we see her sitting on the bed. First, she's looking on a photo of her parents, and then she grabs her phone. No, then she grabs the phone that she got from the guy that died, that the truck ran him over, and she dials the last number in the list. And then she can hear a woman's voice. Was there a problem? Did you find her? What's going on? And Elena says, Isobel? And then the line goes dead. And Elena looks like she's gonna cry. The very last scene of this episode is Harper, who is coming to like an abandoned house in the woods. And the same woman we saw earlier in the town square where Harper and him looked at each other opens the door for him. And then Anna and Pearl come in and Pearl calls Mrs. Gibbons, who is actually the owner of the house. And then Pearl tells Mrs. Gibbons to invite Harper in. And this episode starts and ends with Harper. This is the official ending of episode 15, where a lot of things happened, especially a magic ring that brings people back from the dead, which is amazing. And I have a couple of notes here about this episode. I noticed throughout the years that a lot of Vampire Diaries fans actually hate on Elena. And I never quite understood this because Elena is the main character and she's a girl that a lot of things has happened to her in a very short amount of time. I mean, if you think about it, both of her parents died, not one, but both. Then she found out that vampires, witches, and other supernatural creatures exist. Then she finds out that her parents actually were not her parents and she was adopted. And then she found out that her biological mom is dead. And then she found out that she's probably a vampire. Like, that is a lot of stuff to go through. So I never quite understood why people hate on Elena so much. Like, the common hate factor is like, oh, she's so whiny and she's crying all the time and she's like stupid. I mean, how would you act if all of this stuff happened to you? I mean, you'd be probably whiny and annoying as well. I love Elena, I always have. Then in this episode, I really enjoy Damon's scenes. I mean, I enjoy most of Damon's scenes, but these are amazing. Especially when Liz is trying to talk to him and he's just kind of like lost in his own world. And he's like, have you ever been in love? So I love that one. Then I also like the scene with him and Rick. And also the scene with Elena and the shirt when he's pretending to be too drunk. That's just really good. And then also, the scene where Damon tells to Stefan that Catherine must have sent Isobel to him, we can see a very hardcore case of denial because Damon wants to believe that in some way Catherine did think about him and didn't just write him off completely. I mean, I think it's understandable. Then also I want to mention that I love Stefan's and Damon's library. Like, it's so beautiful and cozy with the fireplace. I mean, if there is not a dead body in front of it, like it was in this episode when Rick was dead for a little bit. But I do love that room. As I mentioned, it is a bit dark for me. Like, I would definitely make it lighter. I wouldn't even need a room that big. Like, I think 1/3 or even 1/4 of that room would be definitely enough for me. But I just love it. I would love to have a library one day, even if it's a small one, with like a couple of shelves of books and a reading chair, and a lamp, and I don't know, something geeky. I saw that some people actually in their libraries, they put the books in color, like a colored team. So like all the yellow books are together and all the orange or the pinks, and it looks kind of cool. But I think I'm so like OCD, I would have to have, like, if it's a Harry Potter series, I would have to have that together. If it's a Lord of the Rings, like, those three books have to be together. I don't think I could separate that. So I like that idea, but I don't think I could do it. But I would love to have a library of my own, like a little corner of the house where I can go hide. And the best would be if it was connected, or not connected, if it was like one room where also the reading window would be. You know how I mentioned I love in Elena's room that she has that reading window that you can sit in, and it like pops out of the house, and then you have that bench and you're basically sitting in the window. So the best would be if that room had that window, but it would be a library with the reading chair and everything. Yeah, because I don't know if I mentioned it, but I also enjoy writing letters. Like, I have quills and inks and wax seals and like everything. So that would be like my little craft room for my letter geeky writing and reading and writing in the window. Maybe doing this podcast too. That would be really cool. So I hope that one day I will make that dream come true, which I'm sure I can. It's not very it's not like a very hardcore dream. I think it is very much doable. Other than that, I really do apologize for the last episode's quality of the sound. I hope this one is gonna be better, even though the microphone gave up on me and I had to record on my phone, so I don't think it's gonna be the best quality either, but definitely better than last time. I have to look for a better microphone because the one I got, I really liked, but I've had it for I think 3 months and it already died on me. And today, like, it really cost me a lot of time because I was recording for about 2-3 hours, 2 hours at least. And then I got home and I got like cozy on the couch with my headphones, and I was gonna edit the episodes and post them, and then I realized that the audio is still crap and it's not usable. So then, and I already was, I was working all day and I was so happy that I got it done, and I was actually really happy with the outcome. But then I realized I have to do it all over again, and it's a lot. Like, that wasn't cool. So I'm sorry about that. It's still, a learning in progress with this, but I really do enjoy it. And I got a couple of comments, especially from my Czech listeners, that they say they really enjoy it, which made me feel really happy about doing the podcast. So that is good. If you want to leave a comment, then please do so. You can do so on Spotify or YouTube, or you can also send me a message on my vampire Instagram, which is TVD forever dash I was feeling epic. I was just watching a show, it's called Night Agent, and in the second season there's Enzo, and he plays like a bad guy, and he has some kind of an accent. It kind of sounds like a Russian accent, but I don't think it is Russian, but it is really funny. So I took a video for you and I'm gonna put it on the Instagram. Other than that, I'm going to New York this weekend with my friends for like kind of a leisure but also a work trip, so I'm super excited about that. We go twice a year, so I cannot wait to do that. And we've had a couple of days of spring here in Jersey, but it went away very quickly because today was snowing again and I'm so over it. But I think spring is just around the corner. We just have to bear with a little bit of this colder weather, so hopefully we'll get there soon. I didn't even know the time changed last week. I was working Sunday and I got to work, and luckily my phone changed the time because I had no idea. And I got to work and somebody was like, oh yeah, we lost an hour. I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know the time changed. So that was hilarious to me. Thank God that, the phone does it on its own, because I would be so late. So anyways, I hope you guys will have a wonderful weekend. Do something that relaxes you, that you enjoy, and get some quality time in with your friends and family. And I will see you here next week at 16, or at episode number 16. Have a great day. Bye.